We all know about market failures, and the biggest market failure of all time is climate change. I'm Justin Guay, Director for Global Climate Strategy at the Sunrise Project, and I dream up new strategies for shifting money and investment away from fossil fuels so that we can address the climate crisis.
Justin, why should we be so focused on what the financial sector does?
I would argue it's probably one of the most important levers we can pull for addressing climate change. What financial institutions choose to lend to, what they choose to insure, what they choose to invest in is the world that gets created around us. And so if they decide that fossil fuels, new investments in coal plants, gas plants, and oil extraction are not risky, it locks us into a world that drives us over a climate cliff. In fact, since the Paris Agreement was signed in 2015, the amount of investment or the amount of lending coming from global banks has risen to $2 trillion. So if the world decided that climate change was this incredibly big threat, it seems like somebody forgot to tell the banks. And so we just can't trust them. We're going to need regulation. There's no doubt about that.
There are bankers who would say, come on, Justin, we're already investing hundreds of billions of dollars in clean energy, solar, wind. Isn't that what you want us to do?
I would say that when I am worried about how much I weigh or what kind of shape I'm in, I can talk all day about all of the salad that I eat and all the fruits and vegetables I eat. But if I don't stop eating donuts, if I don't stop eating cake, then it's not going to make any difference. And so it's all well and good. We love that they invest in clean energy, but you got to cut out the cake. Otherwise, there's no chance of solving this problem.
What is the legal framework that gives Biden the right to tell the Treasury Department to regulate the banks this way? What's the law?
The Dodd-Frank law created a bunch of powerful tools that regulators can deploy, including telling investors and lenders what they can or can't lend to. We're actually just going to tell you you can't invest in this stuff anymore. We're going to tell you you can't do it. Dodd-Frank was put in place after the 2008 subprime market meltdown. And it was put in place because we couldn't trust rational investors to avoid subprime investments. And the same is true today. We can't trust them to avoid subprime investments in coal, oil, and gas. Climate change is the mother of all risks that we face. And if we don't address it, it's going to make 2008 look like a walk in the park.
You know, I can just imagine the chaos that would erupt in Washington were Biden to tell banks that you cannot invest anymore in oil, coal, or gas. What makes you think that Biden would take on the political risk of making that kind of a decision?
It feels like with each passing day, it becomes ever more clear that Republicans are bent on obstruction and that getting anything through Congress is going to be incredibly difficult. And the thing that's so powerful about Dodd-Frank is that it's potentially the most important climate legislation that's already been passed. We don't need to deal with Senator Joe Manchin and what he does or doesn't want to do. We don't need to deal with the obstruction coming from Republicans. This is power that the administration already has to deploy. And if they feel like they have a mandate from their voters, from their base to act on climate, and they're feeling the heat that they have not acted enough and extensively enough, this is something they can do tomorrow with power already in hand.
You know, this does sound like a battle among elites. I mean, you've got Biden and Janet Yellen on one hand, and you've got these major financial institutions on the other. What can climate activists do to make it more likely to produce the outcome that they want to see?
Ambitious climate action dies in the dark. It dies when people don't pay attention to it, when no one knows what's happening. And I think it's really important that the climate community let the administration know they care about this. Let them know that we understand how powerful of a law Dodd-Frank is and how much power financial regulators actually have to address the climate crisis, and that it's a huge opportunity for them to make good on their climate ambition when everywhere they seem to look right now, they're getting stalled.